Have you ever wondered what really happens in the first 31 days after death? Will the soul be lost, or will it find its true destiny? Today, you will discover what religions have hidden for centuries, a forbidden manuscript burned so that it would never be revealed, exposes truths that could change the way you live and die if you seek more than beliefs. If you feel there is something beyond what you have been taught, then stay here. What you will learn today can free your soul and those you love. Shall we cross the veil together? One night, lost in time, an old manuscript was found by chance in the ruins of an abandoned monastery. There, among dust and silence, rested a book that contained the secret of 31 days after death, a mystery hidden by religions and society. The scroll seemed to pulse with a spiritual energy so dense it made the skin crawl. It was as if each word written there had a life of its own, emanating a vibration that crossed the barriers of the visible and the invisible. That discovery would change everything for anyone who dared read it. Anyone who dared to leaf through those pages felt an energetic presence surround them, as if they were being pulled into another reality. The manuscript revealed practices of practical esotericism, detailing the process of separation of the soul and its unknown path. It was as if an ancient voice breathed forbidden secrets into the seeker's ears. And at a time when dogmas controlled what was allowed to be believed, this book was considered living heresy. To protect the powers that be, the manuscript was deemed too dangerous and consigned to flames. The curious thing is that even among the ashes, the message remained. Fragments have survived, carrying the original frequency of the teaching. These pieces, dispersed throughout the world, still resonate today in the hearts of those with keen spiritual perception. Like echoes of ancient wisdom, they whisper to us to look beyond death and understand the body as a spiritual channel. How many signs do we ignore daily because we are disconnected from this subtler vibration? For those who want to delve into this mystery, it is possible to start with simple but powerful practices. Energy anchoring meditation, for example, is one of them. Sitting in silence, breathing deeply, and visualizing roots extending from the feet towards the center of the earth reinforces the connection with internal energy and energetic presence. Few know, but this practice strengthens the interpretation of signs coming from the invisible, exactly as the ancients taught. It is interesting to note that the manuscript described the moment of death not as an end, but as a grandiose expansion of consciousness, a vibrational dive so deep that only those who were in tune could cross it clearly. This resonated directly with traditions of popular mysticism, where death is seen as a passage rather than a punishment. This vision is very different from what we were taught. Do you agree? The guardians of the manuscript knew that its revelation would shake the structures of social control. After all, by understanding that spiritual energy is eternal, people would stop fearing death and start living with more vibrational freedom. Imagine the impact of this in a society where fear was the main tool of obedience. The frequency of inner freedom would be too dangerous for those who dominated the people. But this story doesn't end here, because if the manuscript talked so much about what happens after the last breath, were there echoes of this knowledge in even more ancient civilizations? Did the Egyptians, Tibetans, and Aztecs already know all this and leave hidden clues? Long before words were written on parchment, knowledge about the 31 days after death already echoed among civilizations that breathed practical esotericism. In ancient Egypt, mystical Tibet, the pyramids of the Aztecs, and the deep rituals of African cultures, the mystery of the soul was celebrated as a sacred journey. Each culture, in its own way, described the energetic presence of the soul moving between worlds. It was as if a silent ancient wisdom ran beneath the ages, connecting everyone through the invisible frequency of spirit. Imagine Egyptian priests murmuring prayers inside the pyramids, using secret symbols to guide the soul. Or African shamans chanting songs with such powerful vibration that they ripped apart the veil of common reality. These traditions of popular mysticism did not arise by chance. They emerged from heightened spiritual perception, from the refined reading of invisible signs. The connection with the invisible was as natural to them as breathing, something that we moderns are still trying to recover. Today, we can learn from these traditions without having to abandon modern life. A practical example is the use of vibrational instruments such as drums, Tibetan bowls, or maracas to harmonize internal energy. This simple practice, done with conscious intention, recalibrates energetic presence and strengthens the body as a spiritual channel. This is not folklore. It is applied vibrational science, something that our ancestors mastered masterfully. These ancient echoes teach us that, in the invisible, nothing is lost. Everything transforms and resonates. Ancient wisdom about the soul's journey after death was viewed not with fear, but with reverence. Each rite, each song, each offering had the objective of raising the frequency of the spirit in transition. Understanding this is opening a door to a new type of spiritual perception, where life and death dance in infinite cycles. What is intriguing is realizing that even separated by oceans and deserts, such different cultures spoke the same hidden truths. How could people who have never met share such similar visions of the afterlife? Coincidence? Or perhaps they were all tuned into the same universal energetic presence, which pulses beyond matter. Questions that only the brave dare to explore, because when we walk through that door, what we find defies everything we have been taught to believe. Right after the last breath, the soul begins the first stage of its journey: separation from the body. It is not an abrupt rupture, but a subtle slippage of spiritual energy out of the carnal envelope. In the first moments, spiritual perception still clings to the physical senses, causing confusion. The soul, still enveloped in its old frequency, resists accepting that material life has been left behind. This invisible struggle is more common than one might imagine, and from it arises the first challenge of the crossing. Many near-death reports speak of this moment of denial, seeing one's own body from the outside, trying to speak to the living, and not being heard. The energetic presence still vibrates on the physical plane, trying to make itself known. At this stage, practices such as Reiki and prayer can help the soul orient itself, sending light so that its frequency gently rises. This is where practical esotericism manifests itself most beautifully. With simple actions, we can calm a soul in despair. It is important to understand that at this stage, the body still influences the soul, as if it were an echo. Therefore, farewell rituals such as wakes and tributes have a profound impact on the vibrational field of the soul. Gestures of love and acceptance help the soul to let go with more serenity. Small human actions reverberate in the invisible with a force that few imagine. Interestingly, ancient cultures prepared their dead with extreme care, knowing that the first few days were critical for the crossing. Anointing the body, putting on specific amulets, and chanting passages were practices based on refined spiritual perception. The objective was just one: to help the soul tune in to the new energetic presence that awaited it beyond the veil. And it is only after this initial phase of separation and confusion that the true inner journey begins. Because what comes next is even more intense: the inevitable confrontation with everything that has been lived, felt, and done. When the soul overcomes the initial confusion, it is invited, inevitably, to review its own life, not as an external judgment, but as a deep, internal immersion. The emotional vibration of every act, word, and thought manifests before her in a vivid sensorial frequency. At that moment, the body as a spiritual channel no longer exists. What remains is the internal energy, raw and transparent, without masks. The soul feels everything it has caused to others. In the purest essence, this review is an unfiltered dive. Lies, kindness, resentment, compassion. Everything appears as vibrational echoes that impact the spiritual perception of the soul. There is no judge imposing sentence. Consciousness itself is the mirror, and each vibration is a response. For ancient sages, understanding this while still alive was essential. That is why so many popular mysticism practices encouraged constant self-examination and energetic purification. A practical exercise that can help right now is the soul diary. Every night, before going to sleep, write down 3 positive acts of the day and 3 attitudes that could be better. This aligns energetic presence with spiritual purpose, clearing the vibrational field. Small practices like this reverberate in the invisible, in powerful ways, shaping our frequency even before the final transition. It is at this point that many feel deep regret or immense gratitude. Each emotion carried in life manifests as a concrete energetic presence. The soul bathes in the vibration it has cultivated. How do you imagine feeling when you relive your every gesture? An urgent call to awaken spiritual energy now, while there is time to recalibrate the path. And after this intense review, full of echoes and emotions, the soul faces something even more challenging. The emotional threshold, where old fears and buried guilt rise like vibrational barriers. After the intense review of life, the soul is faced with the emotional threshold, a true vibrational portal that separates the known from the unknown. Here, unresolved emotional residues take shape and energetic presence, becoming tangible obstacles for those seeking to cross. Fears, guilt, and attachments emerge as living entities shaped by the soul's own internal energy. The frequency we carry in life determines the weight of this encounter, and crossing this threshold is the first big step towards spiritual elevation. The crossing does not happen with willpower alone. It requires ancestral wisdom and vibrational mastery. Ancient cultures taught that to overcome the threshold, it was necessary to practice detachment while still alive, letting go of hurts, dissolving fears, and strengthening the connection with the invisible. Small rituals of practical esotericism, such as herbal baths, forgiveness circles, and liberation prayers, had the function of cleansing spiritual energy and preparing the soul for this inevitable moment. An exercise that can be done now is the letter of liberation. Write down everything that still weighs on your heart, be it guilt, anger, or sadness, and burn the paper as a symbol of vibrational detachment. This simple but powerful practice dissolves emotional residue in the energy field. Each release made in life echoes in the post-death journey, like a bridge built over the abyss of fear. It is the practice of applied spiritual perception, connecting body, mind, and soul into a single vibrational flow. The emotional threshold is often described as a second birth. The soul that manages to cross leaves renewed, with its internal energy lighter and higher. Those who can't get stuck in spirals of confusion, repeating emotional patterns until they are helped or awakened. Therefore, cultivating a conscious, energetic presence here and now is an urgency, not a luxury. But if the soul is able to overcome this threshold, a new luminous stage awaits it. The reunion with those who came before, ancestors and spiritual guides ready to welcome and heal. On the other side of the threshold, the soul is not alone. A silent chorus of spiritual presences awaits her. Ancestors who long ago crossed the veil and guides who accompanied her in secret throughout her life. This reunion is a vibrational bath of love and ancestral wisdom, where the soul is welcomed and healed from the wounds of material existence. The spiritual energy of these encounters is so intense that many describe feeling at home for the first time. In traditions of popular mysticism, such as the Day of the Dead in Mexico or African ancestral cults, this reunion is celebrated with deep reverence. They knew that the spiritual lineage continues to live and that the vibration of the ancestors resonates in our own energy field. Maintaining this connection with the invisible through rituals of memory and honor is a powerful practice of practical esotericism, which strengthens the energetic presence of those who still walk the earth. A practical way to honor this ancestral wisdom is to create a small altar at home. A lit candle, a photograph, a symbolic object. Not to worship, but to be grateful and keep the frequency of gratitude alive. This simple gesture is a vibrational link between worlds, strengthening internal energy and spiritual perception. It is the recognition that we are the continuation of many journeys before ours. The reunion with ancestors also brings profound revelations. Many souls discover that spiritual pacts, gifts, and challenges were inherited not by chance, but as parts of a great vibrational tapestry. Life is no longer seen as isolated and starts to be understood as a chapter in an infinite story, where each action reverberates in the collective. After this reunion, the soul is stronger, more aligned, but there is still a crucial decision left: choosing your next path. And this choice will be shaped not by words, but by the pure vibration that each soul carries with it. Between days 14 and 16 after death, the soul finds itself facing an energetic bifurcation. There are no judges or courts, only the resonance of the vibration itself determines the path to follow. Spiritual energy, as unique as a fingerprint, will guide the soul in one of three directions: ascend to higher planes, reincarnate in a new cycle, or remain trapped in the shadows of earthly attachments. The ancestral wisdom of civilizations, such as the Tibetan, describes this moment as the Great Mirror. The soul sees its true frequency reflected without filters. If your vibration is one of love, forgiveness, and compassion, it rises easily. If it is loaded with resentment, fear, or materialism, its energetic presence becomes denser, attracting it to heavier planes. Every choice made in life invisibly shapes this inevitable decision. To prepare, practices such as vibrational meditation, light visualizations, and high-frequency affirmations are essential. A powerful exercise is the golden ray. Visualize yourself enveloped in a golden sphere of vibrant light, feeling your internal energy expand and connect with the invisible. This practice strengthens the body as a spiritual channel and refines the spiritual perception necessary for great choices. In practical esotericism, we know that nothing happens by chance. Everything vibrates, everything resonates, everything returns. Spiritual energy is like music. Those who tune in loudly dance among the stars. Whoever tunes low remains a prisoner of their own echoes. What melody is your soul composing right now, without you realizing it? And after this critical choice, the soul moves towards a new phase, that of deep detachment, where it will be called to release even more memories and illusions before ascending. Between days 16 and 21, the soul plunges into an intense process of emotional detachment. This is the time when you revisit places, faces, and memories that still vibrate in your energy field. There is no sadness, just an expanded spiritual perception that everything was learning. Here, popular mysticism teaches, clinging to forms is what prevents the soul from flying. Letting go is the true key to vibrational freedom. During this phase, it is common for the living to feel the energetic presence of loved ones in dreams or synchronicities. It is the soul visiting one last time before moving on. Lighting a candle, saying a prayer, or simply sending loving thoughts can help with this process. These small actions of practical esotericism create bridges of light that guide the soul on its journey. In many African and indigenous cultures, letting go rituals are done to honor this moment. Songs of liberation, dances and offerings are not mourning, but celebrations of the new journey. We learn from them that letting go of what we love is not losing, but liberating. The internal energy of the soul needs to be light to reach higher planes, and each memory released is like an anchor removed from the heart. A powerful exercise for those who want to prepare themselves while still alive is the gratitude ritual. Choose an object that symbolizes an attachment. Sincerely thank you for the experience it represents and let it continue, donating, burning, or burying. Small actions generate big vibrational releases. Letting go is trusting the ancestral wisdom that the soul never loses, only transforms. And after this lightness achieved, the soul approaches the greatest expansion, the encounter with the true, divine consciousness, where all limitations dissolve and only the being remains. Between the 21st and 24th, the soul experiences something that human words can barely touch, the full expansion of consciousness. Without the emotional weights, she integrates with a frequency so high that she understands the deep purpose of her existence. There are no more questions, just a vast spiritual perception where everything makes sense. It is in this state that the soul communicates with superior beings through silent telepathy, exchanging energies that heal and illuminate. In this subtle space, the spiritual energy of the soul vibrates in resonance with the all, without the need for form or language. The ancient sages called this the abode of golden silence, where vibration is pure energetic presence. In contemporary practical esotericism practices, we can glimpse echoes of this expansion when practicing deep meditations focused on dissolving ego identity. A good start is the violet flame exercise. Visualize the entire body being purified by a violet light that transmutes all limiting patterns. Ancestral wisdom teaches that this is the moment when the soul stops being individuality and becomes an expression of the divine. The body as a spiritual channel fulfills its maximum role, serving as a bridge to infinite consciousness. For those who are still alive, it is possible to prepare for this state by seeking to live with more energetic presence in everyday life. Practicing deep listening, cultivating silence, observing without judging. Each small practice is a rehearsal for the expansion that we will all, sooner or later, experience. At this stage, the soul understands the connection with the invisible as naturally as breathing. There is no loneliness, no fear, just the realization that each being is a spark of the same cosmic fire. The vibration achieved here is decisive for the soul's next destiny. It is the fusion between internal energy, ancestral wisdom, and the eternal mystery of existence. But before completing its crossing, the soul needs to be naturally drawn to the plane of existence that most resonates with its frequency. And that's what we'll dive into next. At the end of the journey, between days 25 and 28, the soul no longer chooses where it goes. It is magnetically attracted to the vibrational plane corresponding to its spiritual energy. Those who have cultivated love, compassion, and a high energetic presence gravitate towards higher dimensions, full of light and wisdom. Those who, however, remain tied to emotional and material density are pulled to medium or lower planes, where new learning cycles await. This dynamic is not punishment, it is pure applied ancestral wisdom. Vibration attracts vibration. A basic concept of practical esotericism, but lived in this way, it has an absolute impact. Therefore, everything we cultivate, thoughts, emotions, actions, are seeds launched in the invisible field, shaping our frequency. A powerful exercise to keep your vibration high is the daily practice of the list of 7 gratitudes. Every day, write down 7 things you are grateful for, reinforcing the positive frequency in the energy field. Ancient traditions, such as that of the Egyptians, illustrated this passage with the scales of Ma'at. The heart of the soul was weighed against the pen of truth. If it's light, it would rise. If heavy, start over. It's not a myth. It is a living symbol of the energetic presence that self-adjusts according to how we vibrate. Understanding this means moving from victim mode to creator mode, assuming spiritual responsibility. In popular mysticism, it is understood that the soul is never punished. It only finds resonance. Everything is frequency, everything is vibration, everything is spiritual energy in constant movement. Therefore, living consciously, aligned with spiritual perception and the body as a vibrational channel, is the greatest gift we can give ourselves. In life, and even at this point, the journey is not yet complete, because in the final days, an unexpected factor can change everything. The loving and luminous influence of the living who are left behind. Between days 28 and 31, something magical happens. The vibration of the living can still reach and influence the crossing of the soul. Prayers, thoughts of love, rituals of light, all of these strengthen the spiritual energy of the transitioning soul. It's like a last breath of wind propelling a boat into calmer waters. Ancestral wisdom has always taught this. We are all interconnected by invisible threads of vibration and energetic presence. Cultures such as the Japanese, through Obon, and Christian traditions with their seventh-day masses, honor this crucial phase. When alive, they send love and conscious light. They create an energetic corridor for the soul to rise. Small practices of practical esotericism, such as lighting white candles, dedicating a sincere prayer, or doing an act of charity in the name of the departed person, have real power, reverberating directly on the invisible plane. The spiritual perception of the living is the true catalyst at this stage. When family and friends choose to vibrate longing with love and not with pain, they help the soul to let go with ease. On the contrary, dense vibrations of despair or revolt can trap the soul in emotional bonds, delaying its ascension. Each thought emitted is a vibrational thread that stretches between the worlds. An extremely powerful practice is the vibrant remembrance ritual. Gathering photos, lighting a candle, giving thanks for the memories, and envisioning the soul rising, enveloped in golden light. This simple visualization enhances the spiritual energy sent and reinforces our connection with the invisible in a loving and elevated way. A gesture that transcends time and space. So, even after saying goodbye, we can still be part of the great crossing. And perhaps as we understand this sacred responsibility, we will also change the way we live. For every act, every word, every vibration shapes not only our lives, but also eternity.